We often feel a heavy pressure to pick a side and stay there. We're taught a strong identity means being perfectly consistent, standing like a stone pillar, even when the world around us is moving like a flood. Imagine you've publicly taken a stand. You've argued your point to your friends or posted it online. But then you see a new piece of data or a different perspective that clearly proved you were wrong. Instead of admitting it, you freeze. There's a deep fear that changing your stance means people will point at you and use the ultimate social insult, calling you a hypocrite. Our culture celebrates the leader who sticks to their guns and never backs down. Because of that, we often choose to protect our pride and stay consistent, even when the facts have moved. But look at the world today. It's digitizing and evolving at a pace we've never seen before. Demanding that your thoughts stay exactly the same in an environment that is shifting daily is a recipe for being left behind. Clinging to a wrong belief just to avoid criticism isn't strength. It is a trap that stops you from actually growing. It's strange that we fear changing our minds as individuals, because in the business world, we view that exact same behavior as a sign of success. When a startup realizes an idea isn't working, they abandon it and try something new. They call it a pivot, and we praise them for being smart enough to adapt. We do this with technology daily. When an app glitches, you don't judge the developers, you just download the update. Changing your opinion is a personal software update. You found a bug in your thinking, and you're installing a better version. But there's a double standard. When a company changes course, we call them agile. When a person does it, we call them indecisive. To survive in a modern economy, we must stop seeing a change of heart as a moral failure. It's actually a required system update. To understand why we're so afraid of that word, hypocrite, we have to go back to ancient Greece. The word hypocrites didn't mean a liar. It meant an actor, someone stepping behind a mask to interpret a new role. It was about exploring a different perspective. Instead of worrying about being an actor, we can practice something much more useful: intellectual humility. It's the habit of staying honest about what we actually know. It's seeing the gap between your current beliefs and the better version of yourself you want to become. That messy space in the middle isn't a sign you're fake. It's the transition needed to reach your new, higher standards. What people often label as hypocrisy is usually just the visible, uncomfortable work of someone who is busy raising their own bar. The most successful people in the world don't actually rely on having the right answer from the very beginning. Amazon founder Jeff Bezos has spent years observing the smartest people he knows. And he noticed something very counterintuitive about them. He says the people who are right most of the time are actually the ones who change their minds the most often. They don't look at their opinions as permanent parts of their identity. He found that the people who were wrong most often were the ones who only looked for details that supported what they already believed. Smart people do something that feels very unnatural. They actively try to prove themselves wrong. They seek out evidence that contradicts their most deeply held views. Intelligence isn't the ability to defend what you already know. It is having the courage to abandon an idea the moment the facts move in a different direction. Applying this in your own life might mean rethinking your career path or realizing that a habit you've had for years isn't actually serving you anymore. When you practice flexibility, your brain clears away old neural pathways, like a gardener pruning dead branches to make room for new growth. Because you aren't protecting a wrong idea, your mind stays calm, focused on finding the next solutions. The next time someone calls you a hypocrite for evolving, give yourself a mental script. Tell them, I found better information, so I updated my view. Shedding an old way of thinking feels uncomfortable, but it's really just clearing away a version of yourself that knew less than you do today. In a world that never stops shifting, the willingness to constantly revise your own mind is the tool that keeps you from being left behind.